Good morning. The new CPI numbers are out, and inflation has actually pulled back a little bit with expectations of 7.9 this morning. Coming in at 7.7 was good news, and you're seeing it in the markets. Good morning. I'm Brenden Rendo, and this is Hope everyone's doing well this morning. Sitting here at the center of Hurricane Nicole in Orlando, Florida. Getting a little wind, a little rain. But I think the bigger news today is our Consumer Price Index number. That came out at 8:30 this morning and actually came in lower than expectations. And can that provide some cover for the Fed to pull back a little bit? I think it might. And the bettors right now are betting that it will. The odds of a 0.75% to a 0.5% increase changed this morning, and more people are sliding to the 0.5. So let's hop a little bit right into the numbers. This is the CPI, and you'll see here that it came out at 0.4%. When that gets annualized out, we're looking at a 7.7% overall rate for the past 12 months. If you remember, last month we were sitting at 8.2. So the ripple effect that the Fed has had of doing the increases, the rather large increases over the past several months, is finally starting to really take effect. And you're seeing that in different formats throughout. You're seeing some car prices come down, some other areas where pricing is starting to fall. But there's still some major concerns with inflation overall. And the ones that always concern me are your energy. You see our gasoline is still up 17.5%, and our food. And both these numbers do not go into the core pricing index. And quite honestly, the scariest one is fuel oil. So the people in the Northeast are going to be getting really hit hard with heating costs. Luckily, it hasn't gotten too cold so far, but those heating costs are definitely going to be going up for them over the next couple months. So how does this all tie into housing? How does it affect our overall market? Well, the big news is how the Treasury market has reacted to the news of the Consumer Price Index dropping. And you can see it right here this morning. We're down nearly 0.264% on the US Treasury. We started the day well above 4, roughly about 4.1%. What that translates into are your interest rates sitting at that 7.25, 7.375, even for an 800 credit score. So today, if you are shopping and you have not locked your rate yet, or if your lender has told you that if rates go down, we can lock you in at a lower rate, today's the day to jump on your lender and find out how much rates have dropped. Because that type of over a quarter point decrease in a treasury bond, we could be back below the 7% interest rates today very easily. The big thing is, will this stay consistent? If this stays consistent, it definitely is going to help out a number of home buyers, help prop up a very, very slow housing market. And there's some other news that I'll get into in a moment from Fannie Mae about where they're seeing as far as an outlook. But this right here alone is just really good news in a housing market that hasn't seen a lot of good news lately. This lowering of the 10-year T yield should help some people who are sitting on that fence with that 50% DTI or 52% debt to income ratio. You may be looking at anywhere from a quarter point to 3/8 of a point interest rate drop today. Joe wasn't able to join us today because of the hurricane. He's got some intermittent power and stuff, but I did get a chance to call him and let him know, hey, take a look at your treasury bill. this morning. You may be wanting to call a lot of the clients who are sitting on the fence, saying, "I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm really tight." Some of those deals that may not look too promising. This alone could help get several people over the hump and get them into a house. So, what's the news from Fannie? And this is probably we've seen this really in the number of sales when we look at our Orlando numbers, you look at numbers nationally. And this is the big thing is consumer sentiment. Fannie Mae does a regular report on consumer sentiment. How is it a good time to buy? Is it not a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? Is it not a good time to sell? And currently, it is at the lowest rate it has ever been. Only 16% of people say that it's a good time to buy a home right now. That means there are not a lot of buyers out there. Even though our inventory isn't at the levels that it has been in the past, because we have so few buyers, really less than 2 in 10 people who are thinking of buying think it's a good time. So it really decreases our number of buyers. And we see that in other reports where you were looking at the number of people who are showing up at homes for viewings. That number is down well over 50% from last year. So the sentiment right now is just not positive for buyers. They're not feeling comfortable in buying a home. One, because of interest rates. Two, because the high prices of the homes. And three is uncertainty with the economy. We've done well so far. We had a slight dip, came back up with some growth. But you look at, for instance, Meta, who's laying off 11,000 people. That was announced yesterday. The one thing that had been propping us up and kind of holding the home prices up is the unemployment rate. It hasn't taken a dive yet, but we may see that number start to jump up as we see more layoffs, such as Meta. Redfin announced they're laying off 13% of their people. The builders have announced that they're cutting back all number of starts, which means that we're going to start seeing some construction worker layoffs as well. So that's concerning. If we can pull back some on the interest rates like we are today and hold it, I think we'll see that sentiment start to turn around. But even the sellers are starting to pull back. We've gone from a 59 to 51%. Is it a good time to sell? So people are going to be holding on to their properties a little bit longer as well. So that's the big news today. So let's hop right into our numbers in Orlando and see how things are progressing there. We're still sitting below the 400 sales per week number. We only had 362 last week. The median price is holding though. We're not seeing a dip like some other parts of the country are, as far as the price reductions. Then we get into the sales price. We're seeing that the original to final list price is holding pretty steady. We're sitting about 3% and a total of about 6% off the original sales price. So these numbers this week compared to last week have stayed fairly consistent. And you can see it here graphically. Interesting enough, our average price jumped, which kind of makes sense because the lower value homes, the blue collar middle income people are the ones who right now are getting hurt the worst of inflation, and they're the ones who are struggling between that 350 and that $400,000 house. They've, because of the higher interest rates, they've had to pull back what they can buy, and the people with the higher incomes, it's affecting them less. They still have the ability, even though it's tightening them up a little bit, they still have the ability to afford some of the higher end homes. And you see that our median prices it flattened out this week. And there you can see our weekly sales. We've gone and we've continually dipped. And that really, I believe, is due to the interest rates. And plus inflation. It's just gotten very expensive for people to buy a home. Then we look at our average days on market. Sorry about that. And we're seeing a slower growth than we had the past couple of weeks, but we're still seeing average days on market jumping up. We're now at 43 days, average days on market, compared to this time last year. It's more than doubled the average days on market. We've gone from roughly 2021 to 43. So the number of days on market has really shot up, and you're seeing more price decreases overall because of that. And in the condo market, we're seeing something very similar. You can see it here. Condo prices, unlike the housing, has really taken a dip on the median price. We're shooting down to roughly about 240 from a peak of 280. So our condo market is really starting to soften, as well as our number of sales has really flattened out and has continues to take a little bit of a dip. So those are our numbers for the week. Staying consistent, nothing exciting. We're really kind of flat overall. Hoping that the drop in the interest rates can help pick this back up a little bit. When you see that 1/4 to 3/8 of a point drop, it has that ability to take people that have been sitting on the market and say, "Ooh, now we might be able to jump in." Psychologically, 6.75 versus 7 is a big psychological difference. Payment wise, not so much, but psychologically, that drop back under 7% can really help a lot of people. So thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. And if you're watching this on Facebook, please give us a thumbs up. If you're watching it on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Helps us out tremendously. Take care. Have a fantastic day.